again, everyone. I'm Paul Perrello. I'm your host here on the Philly Factor on LaSalle TV. My next guest, I am so proud of for so many reasons. I met him more than 40 years ago, right here at 20th and Olney at LaSalle College at the time. And he has gone on to be the premier Philadelphia Eagles radio broadcast producer. My guest is the great Joseph McPeak. And Joe, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on this edition of the Philly Factor.
Paul, I appreciate it. It's my honor. I have fond memories of your classes back in the early '80s.
Right?
You always made it fun for us, a fun learning experience. So yeah, I'm excited to be interviewed by you, my professor.
And you turned out okay despite that those classes with me.
Now it's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good. Like I said, it's been going on 42 years now, Paul.
yeah.
So you
Um,
graduated.
I've told you personally, and I'm going to say it publicly, that I am very, very proud of your accomplishments. Having you as a student in class at LaSalle, and then seeing you mature from that student into a radio broadcast producer, not just any radio broadcast producers, but for the two-time Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. That is quite an accomplishment. First of all, an accomplishment to celebrate your 40th year doing it, given the world of radio and television, for that matter, where average life expectancy is about like 2.5 years. Uh, you're doing it for 40 years. I've been doing it for more than 44 years. But fact of the matter is, very, very, very proud of you. And I can't think of a better way to kick off our new season than with having you as a guest. Um, the key to all this, and something that I'm really, really a big proponent of, is internships. And I'd like to begin with how you got to the position that you're in right now. And it all did begin with an internship, did it not?
So Paul, I remember that day vividly. I was walking up Worcester Street, and Brother Jerry was driving down. At that time, Worcester Street was two ways, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And he stopped the car in the middle of the road, and he asked me if I would be interested in an internship at WIP with the sports director Merle Reese. And I told Brother Jerry, I said, I would love it. I would love the opportunity to intern at WIP. Now, Paul, you got to remember back then, WIP wasn't all sports. Okay,
Hmm.
it wasn't until '88 that Spectacor, Ed Snyder, and Tom Brookshire bought the station and transitioned into all sports. They had Wee Willie Weber, Tom Lemaine, Ken Garland, Tom Moran.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went down for the interview with Merle, um, and he offered me the internship. Now I interned for him in January till May, and at the same time I was interning at Thursday mornings with Merle, right, covering all the sporting events, the Sixers, the Flyers, going getting post game interviews, going back to the station, editing the tape for the morning broadcast. And on the weekends, I worked Saturday and Sunday morning with Stan Wolders. So
Hmm.
Stan just retired from the NFL, and he took Bill Bergey's place as the color analyst in the booth with Merle. So I had that internship. It was 3 days. It started at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was still taking classes. And in the meantime, Gary Papa, I applied for an internship at Channel 6 with Gary Papa. And he called me, and he said, he asked me if I was still interested in the internship. I said, well, Mr. Papa, I just had, told Merrill Reese that I would be interning at WIP. He said, well, get back to me. I think you could handle both. So I went to Brother Jerry, and Brother Jerry says, Joe, if you think you could handle two internships your second semester of your senior year, yeah, go ahead. So I mean, Sundays were like, I would be at the radio station at like 4 in the morning till probably 10. Then I would go straight to Channel 6 and intern for Gary Papa. But Paul, it's easy to get an internship, right? It's fairly easy to get an internship. It's
Sure.
what you do with the internship once you get it. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I was Merle Reese's first intern outside of Temple because he's a Temple alum.
Right. Right. Right.
So here I am. I'm an explorer interning for Merle Reese, and I remember I was my first assignment. I was going to cover the 76ers game on a Friday night, and I get in my car. I go down to the Spectrum. Okay, they were
Hmm.
playing at the Spectrum at the time. So I go to the press will call window, and there's no press pass for me.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So I took some change out of my pocket and I called Stan Wolders. And Stan just began his radio career, right? He said, Joe, yes, I apologize, but I forgot to call Harvey Pollock, the director of public relations and communications for the Sixers for a long, long time. I forgot to call him for a press credential. Just go home and don't worry about it. Well, what I did, Paul, I bought a ticket, got into the Spectrum, and eventually snuck my way down to courtside to talk to Harvey Pollock. I told him what happened. He laughed, saying he blamed it on Stan Walters, and gave me a press credential. And I went up to the press box, and after the game, I got the sound bites. Went back to WIP, and edited the tape for Stan the next day. So right there, having an internship or is one thing. It's what you do with it, what you
Yep.
do with the opportunity. And if Merle, if I was supposed to get 10 sound bites from a game, I made sure there were 20 for
Hmm.
Merle to use for his morning broadcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very fortunate.
Yeah. And that's such great advice to tell students because, like you said, it's one thing to get an internship, it's another what you do with that internship. So, how did that internship then eventually make its way or work its way or segue into the position that you're in now?
So upon graduation, WIP hired me. And Paul, in this business, when you're hired, right out of college, you're operating the board like
Yeah.
overnight. So it was
Hmm.
the Larry King show at the
Okay.
time. Like I said, WIP wasn't all sports.
Hmm.
So they simulcast the Larry King show, right?
Hmm.
Which was, national. So
Sure.
I would work the board on Friday night into Saturday morning
Right.
and Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Okay.
While my friends are out having a good time at the age of 22, you have to sacrifice it and you
Sure.
have to, know that eventually your hard work will pay off.
Hmm.
And then I started doing a lot of remote broadcasts with Bill Campbell, Gene Hart, Hugh Gannon, Pat Croce.
Wow.
When Tom Brookshire knew, and and Ed Snyder bought the station, so I was part of the transition.
Mm.
And then it was maybe a year, 2 years after that, Merle's producer of 9 years left,
Hmm.
and he hired me. Out of all the interns that Merle has had over the years, a kid from LaSalle University, Merle chose a kid from LaSalle University. So
Wow.
86 was my first year doing the games. And Paul, I
Wow.
was never, I grew up in Northeast Philly. I was never on a plane. Other than, I was only in two states, you know, suburbs of Philly and Jersey. And all of a sudden, at 2024, I'm traveling with the Philadelphia Eagles all over the country. So it was surreal. It really was. But like I said, you have to, and every job that you get, no matter if it's in radio or television or the corporate world, you always have to prove yourself,
Sure.
right? You have to
Hmm.
go above and beyond. Um, and that's what I always did, you know.
Tell us, I mean, everybody probably has, having worked in the business and knowing what goes on behind the scenes, as well as what goes on in front of the scenes. Everybody has an idea of what a radio producer does, or what is it like on game day in the booth with Merrill? And so, give us an idea of what is involved with your job. I mean, you make it seem flawless when you're listening on the radio, and I say you make it seem flawless because it's flawless on the radio. But that's a sign of the true professionalism of you and what you're putting into it, as well as the guys that are calling the game. But there's always something that there's always a bump in the road. But what is the job of a radio producer? How do you keep the train on the tracks for the sometimes 3-4 hours of the broadcast?
So to start with, we have a couple of engineers. Okay, so they'll go to the visiting town, visiting city that we're going to. They'll go a couple days in advance to have everything set up in the locker room, our broadcast booth, so we can do the post game interviews and stuff like that. So basically, what I do, Paul, is I produce, direct, coordinate the overall broadcast.
Hmm.
So it's important to, listen to Merle and Mike when they're having a back and forth. I determine when to go down to the sideline report, which is Devin Caney's, our sideline reporter. I'm speaking with her down on the sideline. I'm speaking with the engineers at the remote site in our booth. I'm speaking with the producer back at the station. Okay. So I tell Merle and I tell Merle when we're going to be breaking. There's someone on the sideline called the Orange Slave, and they'll signal for a television timeout or a media timeout. Okay. So that's when we take our break, right? So the producer back at the station will give me a countdown, right? The breaks are usually 2 minutes and 20 seconds,
Hmm.
right? And then I'll cue Merle back. So it's just directing and producing and coordinating the overall broadcast. Now, Paul, when I started back in '86, I had out cues for Merle, right? I didn't have any billboards, right?
Right.
Or features. So as the years went on and the broadcasting fees went higher and higher and higher, these professional broadcast, radio, and TV have become commercialized,
Hmm.
right? So I probably have, let's say, 50 features that I have to get in a game.
Hmm.
So let's say there's a sack that's sponsored, a touchdown sponsored, a turnover is sponsored, a field goal is sponsored. So there could be a time, and it's happened in the past, where there's a sack, there's a fumble on the sack, there's a touchdown on that play. Um, so you have the sack that's sponsored that has a feature read. You have a turnover featured read. You have a touchdown sponsored by a feature read, and it could be the play of the game.
Yeah.
So you don't want to like you have to, and a lot of them are car dealerships. So you can't really have Merle read two car dealership reads back to back.
Sure.
So you have to, maybe I'll wait until we come back from a break because usually right after a touchdown, they'll take a media timeout. So I'll determine, to do a couple of those features when we come back. It's also important to listen to Merle and Mike, right? I could tell by the expression on their face whether they have a follow-up comment or question, and I don't want to interrupt that. So it's learning their back and forth. There are times during the game where our silent reporter would want me to go down to her. So let's say if it has something to do with the defensive player and the Eagles are on offense, you wait until the team is on offense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's trying to make the game uh, flow
Hmm.
naturally with the broadcasters, you know, and make it, not as obvious of the commercials that are taking place, throughout the game.
Sure.
So
Um, you were you were with the Eagles in some lean times, and then you're with the Eagles now in perhaps the greatest of times. Winning the Super Bowl last year, and then right before that. I know you. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have two Super Bowl rings.
right, I have two Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl 52 and Super Bowl 59.
Yeah. So, how does a kid from Northeast Philadelphia? I mean, how do you sort of deal with the fact that you're part of the Super Bowl champ Philadelphia Eagles, and you have two Super Bowl rings, and I see some of the sports memorabilia behind you there too. But I mean, that's nothing to take for granted. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, Joe.
Paul, like I said, I grew up in Northeast Philly. Okay, in a row house. There were five of us, five siblings, so four boys in one room. My sister had her own room. Uh, just don't forget where you came from, right?
Mm,
And
mhm,
and always remember the people that have helped you along the way.
mm.
Okay, and then someday, return the favor. Allie Waddington is a LaSalle alum. So I got her the interview. Okay. I never say that I got
Mhm.
that I got someone the job. Okay. I got her the interview. She was
Right.
with the Eagles, I think, for like 7 years. Now she's the director of public relations and communications for the Washington Commanders. All right. Anthony
Sure.
Bonagura, another LaSalle alum. He's community affairs for the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, so when I wear my Super Bowl rings special occasions,
Oh,
and they're really not for me because I see them. It's for the people. It's for the people to enjoy.
sure.
So there's so much that goes into these rings, and I take the time to explain, how many diamonds are on the ring and what they signify and everything else. So yeah, it's just keep your feet grounded. You listen, Paul. You just go through life thinking that you're never superior than anyone,
Hmm.
and don't think that you're inferior than anyone. And
Oh,
that's always been my philosophy.
that's some great advice. That's some great advice that we all could take to heart and sort of live by. No doubt about that. The other thing I want to ask you is that Merrill was inducted into the NFL Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And again, it's one thing to work besides a radio giant like Merrill, and all the other names that you've mentioned in this interview. They're all icons in Philadelphia sports broadcast history. But to have your name mentioned in Merrill's speech at the Hall of Fame, I mean, how many times did you pinch yourself when he mentioned your name, and you hear that over and over and over and over again?
Listen, I became obviously over 42 years. Our relationship it's a friendship now.
Mhm.
He came to my daughter's wedding, and he introduced the wedding party and stuff like that. But oh, he's an icon. Listen,
Mhm.
Paul, before a game, um, if we're away or at the link, you would have Jim Nance, Al Michaels, the visiting radio broadcasters. They would come in the booth. It's almost like they're paying homage to
Yeah.
to Merrill. Okay,
Hmm.
so next year, this is his 49th season. Next year is going to be his 50th, right?
Wow.
So they come in, they take the time to come in. Joe Buck, they
Hmm.
take the time to come in our booth and speak with Merle and ask him how he's doing. Not only is he a local icon, he
Sure.
nationally. He's been doing the games longer than any other broadcaster, you know,
Yeah.
and just to see the respect that an Al Michaels or Jim Nance pay tribute to him is astonishing. But Usually Merle will end the broadcast with the credits, and I'm the last name, and it's Joseph A. McPeak now, and yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of surreal. It really is, And my like I said, my first year doing the games was '86,
Hmm.
and Buddy Ryan was the coach. He
Right.
just got the job,
Yeah.
so I remember the first game, Paul, was what was it? It was in Washington, and the priest asked me to do the readings. Now they on the way at the hotel they have Catholic mass, they have Bible study, for the players and the staff.
Sure.
So I went. The priest asked me to do a reading, and I did a reading. And during the week, Buddy Ryan went up to Jimmy Gallagher, a longtime public relations director for the Philadelphia Eagles, and said, "Hey, get that young kid to do the readings at every mass." So the following week, we were in Chicago, and I didn't do the readings. Buddy came up to me on the plane and said, "Hey, how come you didn't do the readings this morning?" I said, "Coach, the priest didn't ask me." He goes, "Well, I want you to do the readings every mass." So Paul, I was 22 years old. Okay, I'm 23 years old. I'm traveling with the team. I'm out till late at night. Okay, I would have to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock for mass the next day. So for 4 years when Buddy was here, you know what he called me? The reader. Okay, so Buddy never called the players by their name. It was always the number. So he called me the reader for 4 years. So
Right.
he went when he went out to Arizona. When he went up to Arizona to coach the Cardinals, they were coming in to play the Eagles, and his secretary, receptionist, called me and said, "Hey, Buddy would like you to read at the hotel when this Sunday when the Cardinals are coming in." So I had to go downtown, and read the scripture at the Catholic Mass for Buddy.
Right.
Great, great guy. I've been through a lot of coaches too.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, absolutely. Um, what, I mean, in your wildest imagination, sitting in that classroom at 20th and Olney back in the day, did you ever imagine how this would all turn out?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because Paul, I knew the competition. It was tough. It was real tough to break into this business.
Hmm.
And you know, I tell young kids, if you're in the inside, don't leave unless you really have to, because it's tough to get back in.
Sure. Hmm.
Okay. So if you're not concerned about the money, if you don't have a family or kids to support, don't leave unless you really, really have to, because it's really, really tough to get back in. Real
Mm.
tough. But listen, I had other than Dr. Goodcoop and Sid McLeod and Brother Jerry, Dr. Vince Kling, you Gannon. I had you
Hmm.
Gannon for a class,
Yeah.
and just hearing from people that were in the business, and how tough it is to get a break and everything. Just listening to that reminded me that, hey, if I got the opportunity, take it, and do something with it. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. So, yeah, when I graduated, I was like I said, Paul, I was lucky to have two internships. And so I already had connections with Gary Papa at Channel 6, the late Gary Papa,
Yeah.
great guy, and died way too early. And
Yeah.
then Merle Reese. So, but up until my second semester, my senior year, I was just walking around campus saying, okay, I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. And I give all the credit to Brother Jerry.
Hmm.
Like I said, if just that the fate of him driving down Worcester and me walking up, and he stopped his car and he called me over. Um, just being at the right place at the right time. But I really believe in the Lasallian mission that's embodied by the Christian Brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
We could go on and talk for hours here. I mean, it's been too long.
oh,
I
I have
mean,
a lot of stories, Paul.
yeah,
I have a lot of
I'm
stories.
sure. And Tanya, our producer, is telling me 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And you know what
Two
that's like
minutes already? Are you kidding
already.
me?
Yeah, I
I
know.
well, hold on. I got to talk about the fogball game in
All right, real fast.
1989.
Okay,
Okay, so 19. Oh, it was New Year's Eve, 1988. The Eagles were in the playoff game against Chicago, and they had a good team then, a
hmm,
great team. Quick, Chris Carter, Byers, Reggie White, and they were going to beat the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Late in the second quarter, a fog rolls over the stadium, and the fog didn't lift until the end of the game. Okay, the Eagles would have won that game. That was one of the most difficult games that I had to produce because we couldn't see down on the field.
sure. Yeah.
Merrill and Stan actually called the games off of a monitor
Wow.
because they could not see the field. So yeah, I mean we could go on and on and on for hours.
I know. And when this season's over and you're in off time, if you we'll have you back on and we'll continue to talk, Joe. It has been such a great pleasure catching up with you. I can't again express how delighted I was when this opportunity passed by my computer, and I said, sure, let's do it. And so I'm glad that we're able to spend this time. And let's not make it another, well, I won't be here another 40 years, but you might, but I don't think I will be. But let's do it again real soon, Joe.
Paul, I appreciate it. I really do. Anything I could do for LaSalle University, I bleed blue and gold.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Joe, we thank you very much for being with us. Our guest has been Joseph A. McPeak, radio broadcast producer for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Joe, always a pleasure catching up with you. And we look forward to speaking with you again real soon.
all right. Thanks again, Paul.
All
Appreciate it.
right. Until
Bye
next
bye.
time, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us here on the Philly Factor. My name's Paul Perrello. We'll catch you the next time around.